there is no such a thing as a chic American woman. The one exception is the lady that we're going to talk about. This quote does not come from yours truly, but from Diana Vreeland, the most powerful voice in fashion in her era. Nan Kempner, the owner of one of the world's greatest couture collections, had a remarkable journey. She was a presence whose style became legend. Nan Kempner moved through the world not merely as an observer of fashion, but as one of its most astute practitioners. Designers, editors, and peers responded to her with words reserved for genuine elegance. Yves Saint Laurent, a designer whose career she followed more faithfully than almost any other woman, called her la plus chic du monde, which means the most stylish in the world. Nan was not simply admired, she became a cornerstone of late 20th century fashion culture, but more of a language of self-presentation. She was comfortable in couture gowns as she was in tailored daytime clothing. Her wardrobe was not seasonal in the traditional sense. Instead, she kept pieces from multiple seasons and designers readily available in her Park Avenue apartment, prepared for travel or last-minute invitations. This expansive closet reflected not only her means, but her sensibility, because bikinis existed alongside sweaters. Linen shifts hung next to coats and ski wear, forming a multi-seasonal expression of personal taste. So her taste was never static. While many women of her generation and social class adhered strictly to a single designer for head-to-toe dressing, Nan evolved. That freedom, her choices, is what made her so special and so compelling. By the 1970s, she began mixing pieces from different designers and different eras, a practice familiar today for us, but innovative at that time. So, in a sense, she was a true pioneer, because her style was described by authorities at the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute as an effortless blend of French couture discipline and American informality. This balance, refined structure combined with ease, became her signature. So how perceptive one had to be to dress this way in the 1970s. An eye that captivated designers. Alongside her enthusiasm, Nan possessed a dynamic energy and a sharp sense of humor, complemented by her model-like figure. Although she appreciated fashion as an art form, it was her presence within garments that truly inspired designers. Valentino once remarked that Nan looked so striking in his pieces because she had a body like a hanger, a comment emphasizing how clothing was displayed on her silhouette. Yet her commitment went far beyond wearing couture. Nan cultivated lasting relationships with the designers whose work she collected over time. Yves Saint Laurent in particular held a central place in both her wardrobe and her life. Over decades, she acquired hundreds of his creations, and exactly hundreds. Evening gowns, tailored suits, and dramatic designs that trace the evolution of his vision. Her loyalty to Saint Laurent was so consistent that within French fashion history, she is remembered as one of his most devoted and enthusiastic patrons. From the earliest days of his couture house, she was among the women who wore his designs, continuing this relationship across decades of collecting. Nan's involvement in fashion extended very well beyond her personal wardrobe. Over the years, she served as a fashion features editor for Harper's Bazaar, offering insight into trends, quality, and cultivated taste. She also worked as a correspondent for the French edition of Vogue, where her perspective on couture and personal style resonated with both readers and industry professionals. Later in her career, she became an international representative for Christie's, the renowned auction house whose focus on art and luxury aligned naturally with her own sensibilities. This role placed her at the crossroads of fashion, collecting, and philanthropy. She also supported philanthropy causes, extending her influence beyond fashion into meaningful civic engagement. Nan Kempner's wardrobe was extraordinary, not only because of its scale, but because of its cultural significance. As I told you, over her lifetime, she amassed over thousands of pieces of both couture and ready-to-wear fashion. Many were chosen because they just resonated with her as objects of beauty, craftsmanship, and historical meaning. But her collection became so extensive and so important that after her death in 2005, the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute dedicated a major exhibition to her wardrobe, titled Nan Kempner, American Chic. And the exhibition presented more than 70 dresses and clothes selected to illustrate her personal approach to dressing and her influence on fashion culture. This exhibition included works by Yves Saint Laurent, Valentino, Oscar de la Renta, and many others from her archive. It showed not only the garments, but the story of fashion as it was lived through the life of one remarkable woman. Within Nan's collection were garments that demonstrated both technical mastery and expressive strength. Pieces by French designer Madame Guéret, known for complex draping and pleated silk jersey constructions, and they were also included in the museum exhibition. These garments reflected Nan's appreciation for designers whose work emphasized sculptural form and refined craftsmanship. Each piece in Nan's archive was selected because it represented an enduring aesthetic, one that balanced structural precision with emotional presence, and a balance she embodied herself. Now let's move to the part many people are curious about: signature pieces and haute couture. So we already know that Nan Kempner's wardrobe was not only extensive, it was historically important. These works all together formed a cross-section of the most significant couture of the 20th century. One of these pieces, for example, was a 1993 Yves Saint Laurent haute couture one-shoulder silk crepe dress reflecting her long loyalty to Saint Laurent, whom she supported from the opening of his house in 1961. A blue-green Yves Saint Laurent haute couture, a silk chiffon strapless gown with a cape from the 1980s, which was a striking example of her ability to balance drama with elegance. Or a 1958 Dior white satin sheath dress with a mink-trimmed coat, purchased during her first trip to Paris with her mother, which actually made the beginning of her lifelong engagement with couture. But Nan's approach to fashion was also very much practical, and it is interesting to see how she mixed and matched. She maintained a very slender frame, approximately 110 pounds at 5'9", which allowed her to fit into designer samples, often sold at reduced price. That was not only aesthetic discipline, but a strategic way to access exceptional garments across seasons and designers. Nan's mastery of fashion extended very well beyond formal occasions. She demonstrated a deep understanding of daytime dressing, but at the same time, her signature approach involved combining blouses, jackets, trousers, and skirts from different designers, and even different periods, showing both creativity and a refined sense of proportion, texture and color. One well-known example of her daytime elegance is an outfit consisting of great flannel trousers, a white blouse, flat shoes, and a large pearl necklace worn for lunch at Valentino's chalet in Haute. Nan herself summarized her kind of dressing very simply for us, asking, "What more do you need?" So her approach came to represent what fashion historians later described as American sportwear sensibility applied to European sophistication. The result was a relaxed elegance that combined ease with structure, becoming one of the defining elements of her personal style. Nan was actually very meticulous in how she preserved and organized her clothing. She did not rotate her wardrobe seasonally, as we talked. Linen dresses hung beside coats, bikinis next to sweaters, reflecting both readiness and adaptability. So, as what we've seen by now, her collection revealed a clear understanding of the relationship between style and history. Preserving these garments, she documented shifts in silhouettes, materials, and craftsmanship, creating a living archive of mid to late 20th century. And this careful approach ensured that her wardrobe became not only a personal collection, but a resource of cultural, museum-level importance. So her philosophy also shaped how she wore clothes. She believed in individuality within the designer's vision. Haute couture for her was a dialect. The designer created the garment. She interpreted it, and together they produce elegance. Nan's appeal extended far beyond her wardrobe. She had a raspy voice, a sharp sense of humor, and a commanding presence in both social and professional settings. She once described herself by saying, "I'm a drunk when it comes to clothes," a remark that captured both her enthusiasm and her honesty. And many people thought that her frankness was central to her charm. She could be unconventional by social standards, yet always sincere. And she enjoyed visibility as much as she understood its power. Writer Annette Tapper described her as someone who loved the camera, recognizing how presence contributes to personal style. Nan was also generous with her time and attention, because those who met her often remembered her confidence, wit, and directness. She was remembered not only for what she wore, but for how she occupied a space. In later years, Nan faced serious health challenges, including hip replacement surgery, for example. She responded with the same practicality and humor that defined her life. Even while using a portable oxygen tank, she continued to attend events, traveled internationally, and remained engaged with fashion and philanthropy. Her resilience reflected a broader philosophy to stay curious, engaged, and elegant regardless of circumstances. This mindset also guided how she preserved her collection for the future. Nan's influence remains so strong because she inspired designers, guided editors, and set a standard for personal style. We can see now it contributes to be so relevant even today. Through her collection, she bridged American and European fashion, combining structured couture with personal expression. Her legacy was formally recognized through her role as member of the Costume Institute's visiting committee, where her expertise supported the museum's educational mission. So Nan Kempner's life for us illustrates a simple truth. Style is more than clothing. It is presence, confidence, and intelligence expressed through aesthetics. She curated not only garments, but experiences, relationships, and cultural influence. She lived with intention, combining discipline, creativity, and refined taste. She transformed her closet into archives, her social life into historical records and her personality into a form of expression. That was the main reason why designers and editors respected her so much, not for wealth alone, but for insights and clarity of the taste. Her story offers enduring lessons for us, like value, craftsmanship, and the invest in quality, trusting your personal expression, and let presence outweigh trends. I believe that Nan understood that true chic is timeless, measured not by labels, but by consistency, judgment, and confidence. Few figures in fashion history remain as influential as Nan. From San Francisco to New York, Paris, Venice, and beyond, she remained devoted to beauty, discernment, and individuality. And her collection, even today, continues to educate designers, students, and anyone interested in the relationship between fashion, culture, art, and character. So to us, Nan is not only a socialite, she was a collector, a muse, a patron, a philanthropist, and an icon. As Vreeland and Saint Laurent recognized, she was a rare American woman who defined elegance entirely on her own terms. If her journey sparks something in you, you already know where to go next. Until then, enjoy the next episode.